you say
No,
it?
case, yeah.
Case, okay. Just make sure.
Hey, we're live, everybody. Welcome. It's Casual Convo Friday, and I am back. Yes, technical problems set aside, hopefully, fingers crossed. You were tuning in. We have Nate, my co-host, out of Rome, Georgia. I am out of Arizona. And then, of course, we've got Case Lane. She's the founder of Ready Entrepreneur. She is out over by me. She's in Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome, Case, to Casual Convo Friday. Before we get this started, I just want to share that if you have any comments, we are here live, ready to take your questions, your comments, your hellos. So make sure you use the chat line. We are broadcasting this on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So here we go. Case, welcome to the show. Nate, always a pleasure to see you. And it's good for me to just show up.
Oh, yeah.
Good to show up on the show. And I'll let you take it, Nate. And if you guys have any questions or comments, I'll be fielding those. And let's get going with today's Casual Convo Friday.
All right. So, Case, thanks for coming on. And, it looks like today's topic is going to be centered around online business. Your company is about working with entrepreneurs, and you like talking about online business. So my first question for you is, what should an aspiring entrepreneur do to get started with an online business? We know that's kind of a step to take on.
Yes, thanks so much. It's great to be here, and that's one of my favorite questions. So I know a lot of people are thinking about online business right now, the way things are. So what I always tell people is to start where most people don't say to start, was getting yourself organized. Because online business is not a sprint. It's going to be a marathon. There's going to be a lot of changes. So you really want to be in it for the long haul right from the beginning. So what I tell people is just get set up. Like, don't allow yourself gaps around some of the simple things that tend to trip people up. And I know a lot of people in the last few months had to figure out a place to work. So you should have a good place to work now, but make sure you've got your tools around you, that you've got rid of distractions, that you actually set a schedule. Because when you go to work in the, in the real world, so to speak, when you go to work corporate or something, everything's set up for you. That's one of the biggest differences. So the first day you arrive at work, here's a nice place to sit, here's your supplies, here's your coffee. You have to do that for yourself in the online world. So people are always surprised. I always start there, set those foundational things first, and then let's get into the business, starting with your idea. And I know a lot of people have 1,001 ideas. So let's pick one, and we narrow down that one idea really around what you're passionate about. Because again, it's something you want to stick with. You don't want to sort of get in there and think, oh, this is not working. I'm going to take off, I don't like this. So pick something that you want to do anyway, or something you're already doing. Start there with your interest, your skills. You don't have to be an expert. I know there's a lot of debate about that. Obviously, if you are an expert, you want to build business on that, that's fantastic. But if you're somebody, let's say you just had something happen to you and you've had an experience and you learned a lot from it, you did a lot of research, you can build a business on sharing that knowledge. That's the key, this information products business, it's called, providing that information to other people who you're one step ahead of them. So that's the expertise. That's the only expertise that you need, is the fact that you've done it, you've done the work, and you're now in a position to share with others. So you start with your idea. Then we talk about who are you going to target? Who are your dream customers? Who's your community? Who's your audience? Who are the people who want or need what you have to offer? Talk about the platform you want to be on. If you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to do YouTube videos just because everybody's doing YouTube videos. There are tens of millions of people on every platform. People still read blogs. So if you want to write, you could be a blogger. Podcasts are taking off. So if you like to, have conversations and chat and talk to people, you could be a podcaster. And maybe you just want to run an e-commerce store. Maybe you're an executive and you just want to manage something. So you could do that too. You could have virtual staff all over the world, because part of the online business economy are the gig economy. So the people all over the world who do work around editing and all the audio and graphics and all of that. So if you just want to manage a virtual team, you could do that as well. And then, but we get into the most important part of all of that. So you could have all of that in your mind, but none of it's going to work if you don't have good content. So then it's really about creating the content, whether it's your blogs or your podcasts or your videos, and they don't have to be slick and beautiful. Especially nowadays, that's not what people are looking for. People are looking for good information. they're looking for help. They're looking for solutions. So the content that you create really has to address what people want or need. So that's the process. Start with the foundational, and then we go through your idea, your community, your audience, your content, and the platform, and build from there. And then be prepared because actually running the business is making the changes, adapting, pivoting, adjusting to what's really going on. And you keep doing that until you're successful, however you want to define success.
Good stuff. I know we have a question here, Nate. You want to put that up on the screen?
I do. Also, we have some comments for you as well. It looks like they truly appreciate what you're doing for entrepreneurs out there. Just FYI.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
But our question is Kate, any tips for the hashtag entrepreneur crowd that are hesitant to take that leap of faith?
Yeah, I know that's always in the back of people's mind, especially if you're kind of balancing with your 9 to 5 and so on. But what I really like to do is focus on why you want to be an entrepreneur in the first place. An entrepreneur is typically that person who's identifying gaps somewhere. You see a problem that you have a solution. And there's a reason for that. You're that person who's thinking, that could be better, or I could do that, or there could be a better product, better. So if you're actually that person who's thinking about that, not everybody thinks like that. So if you're that person who's thinking like that, it's probably your role in life to actually make that change and fill that gap. And so and you keep seeing it every day. You're seeing it, and you're just saying to yourself, I could do that better. So that's what I say is focus on that reason, focus on that opportunity that you see where you're actually going to provide a solution. You're going to deliver value for people who want or need it. That's what people are looking for. That's what they need from you. And it's already in your mind anyway. And maybe you don't have an idea exactly, but you want to do something in the entrepreneurship realm. So you're still that kind of person looking for opportunities, ready to deliver value. Focus on that. Focus on the why, as they say. Focus on that Simon Sinek why, and take yourself through that process and just say, if I don't do this, no one else is going to do it. And so move forward and move forward incrementally. You don't have to take on the whole world the first day. Start with that first piece. Like, let's say there's something that you could do with whatever your idea is that you start to get some feedback. And then what starts to happen is it will build your confidence. You'll get that feedback. You'll realize that, I was right about this. People do need this solution. I do have a good idea. And then you could just grow it from there. And you'll be just into it because, you'll start to build that community, build of customers and an audience and so on. And it will scale from there.
One thing that you said, we had Gary Sanchez. This was the one that I just mysteriously disappeared on last Friday, but he is the founder of the Why Institute, and he created that program with Simon Sinek. And something that he and his colleagues always say is when you know your why, the what you do has so much more impact. And so it is really identifying what is the why, like why are you doing the things that you do? Because then you can succinctly say what is that you want to be doing for people and how you show up and how you provide value to them. I know he put Nate in the hot spot last week, like he was our hot seat guest, but he's like, I'm going to put this on Nate. And he puts Nate in the hot seat to really identify what Nate's why and what is. And it makes such a big difference, especially for these new entrepreneurs. You're not just doing it. There has to be a reason why you're doing the things that you're doing, who you want to help, who you want to support, and how you're going to build this business. So
and there's
great tips there.
It's almost a bigger one too, if I could just add that, having some purpose right now, it's not just, at any time in life, but I think right now also it really will resonate with people that you want to be doing something. And so the outcome of doing nothing, you know what that is already, right? So if you do something, you at least have a chance. I'm in Vegas, so it's a city of chances. You at least have a chance to actually have the life you really want. And I think you have to keep that in mind as well, because we're in a world where we need as many solutions as possible. Like this is what people, everywhere in so many different areas. So not only do you get to do that, but you also get to give yourself the life that you want and give yourself this constant purpose that you're always doing something. And you can't say you're bored anymore once you become an online entrepreneur because there's a lot to do. And
There's a lot to learn.
Exactly, a lot to learn. So there's no, you just think about that. It's going beyond. I know everybody thinks about the money, and yes, everybody wants, bling, 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 and so on. But you also think about the professional satisfaction and using your skills to the the deepest level, and of course getting the lifestyle freedom you want and being able to have your own schedule. So it's a bigger story, and it's a much grander story in that sense of having a full life and also being I don't want to sound too woohoo about it, but it's participating in building a better world in that sense because you're actually are delivering solutions to problems that people have.
Mm-hmm.
And to touch base on that, so when you're working with entrepreneurs, especially when they first start out, I know businesses I work with and stuff, and I've had this conversation a few times on here, but everybody they try to do way too much. They try to expand way too fast and things like that, and they're trying to grab money here and grab money there and customers here and customers there and all that. How do you get them to refine? Because like some of the most successful businesses I've seen, and obviously success is a broad term, but some of the best ones I've seen is where somebody picked one product to develop, or they picked one service, and then they honed in on it, and they just repeatedly improved that, and they never worried about going anywhere else. Now I'm not saying you can't, but I feel like a lot of people, they think to start out with, I can't make just one T-shirt and sell it. I need to make 50.
Yeah.
And so then they end up with like 50 subpar T-shirts on their website, and the website doesn't look great and all that jazz. So how do you help people refine their process and get them on a path to where they actually can be successful?
Yeah, and I agree with starting with one thing, but you can have your vision for a lot, you have whatever it can be, your grand vision, but by picking one and setting a goal for it. So you could say, and it could be, I just want to make one sale and prove I could do this, and then I'm going to scale from there. Okay, great. Start there. But at least you're having that initial focus. And I actually, we were talking about Netflix a bit earlier offline. And one of the things that people forget about Netflix is that they started delivering DVDs, but specifically around movies people couldn't find. So people used to go to Netflix to see, international films that they'd read about somewhere, or films that won a film festival somewhere. That's what they would go to Netflix for in the beginning. And Netflix was the go-to place for movies no one could find. And of course, we know what they are today. So you start with something that is, first of all, you're hitting a market that's unserved, like a market that can't find what it wants, which is great. There's your niche. People with money, because usually stereotyping, but people want to see movies that no one else can find. People usually have other things, they've already exhausted everything else. And so you could build a business on that niche, prove that concept, and go from there. And of course, they took it from that into, so many other realms. So, and that you don't have to be building a global corporation, but think about if you do have a huge number of ideas around your one idea, start with one piece of it. And think about scaling over time. I'm a big goal setter, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, 5 years, 10 years. Lay out your goals. And then as you hit each one, then you can move on to the next one. But at least make sure that you've got that first one and sort of set that as a test for yourself as well, that you're really going to do this because you're at least going to make that one thing work.
Absolutely. So we have a couple of questions, Case. This coming from Nicholas Curd. I like to sell T-shirts or do shirt ebooks to start. Should I buy a course? So that's our first question coming in. And I'll say I love courses. I'm kind of like a courseaholic, like most of us. I have a friend who's like, I'm going to create a seminaraholics course for all the people who just keep buying courses and not doing anything with them, or some who actually do stuff. So I'm going to let you take that question from Nicholas. Then we have another one that just popped up as well.
Yeah, and I love that question and your response as well, because courseaholic, and I'll just put it out there, I have 5 post-secondary degrees. So yes, I'm all about education and knowledge. And I began this process of online business with online courses. That's absolutely, big surprise where I started. Now, there are pros and cons, as I've learned over time. And the courses change and evolve because they're not always offering everything. So you do get a lot of the rah, you can make $1 million in 10 minutes doing nothing, buy my one proven method, and this is the way. And
I bought that. Keep going. Sorry, Case. Go ahead.
to be perfectly honest, sure, you go to, it's a great webinar, they're showing wonderful things, and you buy the course, and you actually go through it, and you think you're implementing step by step by step, and somehow you didn't get your $1 million. And so that's, so what happened?
What I do wrong? Why am I not a millionaire?
Exactly. It's like they said it's the one proven way. There's obviously no other way to do it, right? But that's what you learn, you live and learn. And some of them, so this is what I've taken away from courses. On the technical side, learning how to do something like set up an e-commerce store, build a website, that kind of thing, they're usually excellent. I mean, if you obviously there's scammers out there, but if you get one of the big name ones, the step-by-step around stuff like that. But the part that's missing is usually how to actually, the marketing, the selling, the promotion, how they really got started. Like when they say they only had only 100 people on their list, and then you realize that you hear them in an interview saying the 100 people happen to be, the perfect customers because they were their colleagues from their last job and they knew what the problems were and all that kind of stuff. So you start to realize that there's gaps. And so in the process, when I go through the process with people and we talk about research and you create your action plan, I always say it's an action plan, not a business plan. You create your action plan. You find those places as you're going through, okay, here's what I would have to do. And you recognize where your gaps are. So when you take a course, you fill in the gaps of some of the things that are missing, but you still see what else is there. It's like, they didn't really cover this part about how they actually sold this, like you start to realize. And so you do your research ahead of time. It helps you weed out some of these more, suspicious kind of approaches to how to do something. And if you go ahead and buy the course and you're going through it, it helps you realize, okay, I didn't see this part. I didn't see this. Like there was like a gap, between module 1 and module 2. They didn't talk about this. And you realize, you can go out to them. I've started to, this is one of my tricks. You just use their support function like a coach and just send them a question. And, hey, they answer them. So, but this is like, I didn't do it in the beginning. I was like, they told me I was supposed to, and because you feel bad yourself, like I must have done it wrong. Like you think, oh, I did it wrong because I don't have my $1 million. But then as you go back and dissect it, you're like, oh no, wait, they actually left stuff out. And so you start firing off questions to the support group and just get them, to answer those questions for you. And if they have a Facebook group or something like that, where you can ask people who've done it before, do that as well. But I really like courses that are structured, that have real how-tos, especially on the technical side, but always be aware that there could be something missing, and then you'll just have to figure out how to fill in that part of it.
I like that. I like that idea. I mean, Nate, you probably get that a lot of, how do I? And you're like, it's in the FAQs.
Part of our job is training people, but we get questions all the time, and it's always a process. I will tell you all a trick. If you're worried about a course being legit or not, you can find out a lot of information by going to Facebook and going to where it says page transparency. And you can see every ad they've ever done for that course, right?
That's true.
And if that course is not legit or up to par, you will see plenty of stuff in the comments. And they'll have so many comments, they can't hide them all because they can't take the time to do it. And then you'll know, okay, let me steer away from that one. Just a quick little tip.
That's a great tip.
That's true. You get that. You go on those Facebook ads and there are people that are like, I took this course and it did not deliver, hey, do your due diligence. Okay, another question coming in. Case, what good habits do you feel entrepreneurs must have to be successful? I love this question. Yeah. I think all of us can talk about this question. Case, what are some of those tips that you have for people?
Yeah, I think for online business, one of the top ones is consistency. So however you like to manage it, you need to be continuing to do what you've started out to do. So let's say you've started out to do a blog, it's a weekly blog. You have to just continue to do it. Even if you've got nobody reading it, keep putting it out there. And so set up then your schedule. I sort of referred to this earlier. Set up a schedule that works for you. So if you like to get up early and make that the first 2 hours of every day is, X. Or if you work through the night, But even consistency in your schedule will help you too. There's so many things you can be doing when you're starting an online business, even if you just start with the one thing, because you still have to promote it. So that means you're going to be on social media. You're going to manage an email list. You're going to do different things. So as you go through all that and it's all coming in, have a good schedule that you stick to as much as possible. and do things consistently. And just keep going. The one thing I've noticed with across the board, what works for all entrepreneurs who come, entrepreneurs come from every background and everything. And some people think, oh no, these are magical people and they have, they got special leprechaun came and blessed them or something. And it's like, no.
I'm still waiting on mine.
Yeah,
and unicorn
right.
$1
million.
Oh my. And $1 million.
$1
million.
What is it on the end of the ring? It's a gold pot or something at the end of the.
Yeah, pot of gold.
But really, so the leprechaun is just doing the work. That's what it turns out to be. If you just consistently do the work, if you keep at it, you don't give up. That's the difference between those that are successful and those that aren't, is the giving up part. And it's hard because people talk about how most businesses fail or something, but I never hear the statistics about most entrepreneurs, because a lot of entrepreneurs are serial entrepreneurs. So statistically, that means that the percentage of businesses that fail is going to be greater than the percentage of entrepreneurs. So what happened to the entrepreneurs? And we always talk about what the statistic is for businesses. And it doesn't matter if 100 businesses that you created failed, if 101 was a big success, right? And then, so it's just to keep going and so consistency in habits, and then consistency in getting the work out that you have set as your goal to do.
I would also add this too, as a great book for people who are thinking about entrepreneurship. I read this book when I started years and years ago. You might have read it too, but it was EMyth Revisited. Did you ever read that book, Case?
Yes, the EMyth Revisited, yes.
And it's like you were sharing earlier, that not everyone is destined to be an entrepreneur. Read this book and it'll really identify what being an entrepreneur is, because some of us are like, I can go to the gym at all hours. Like I can just take my time. I could do 5-hour lunches. And it's like, do you realize you have to make that time up? Like that's not just, willy-nilly on your schedule and you can do whatever you want and everything just comes to you. You still have to work at it. So one word that this book really said quite a bit was discipline. And that's what I took from it, is if you don't have the discipline to get up, make those habits, keep going, keep moving, keep picking yourself back up, then maybe entrepreneurship is not really right for you.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's just about, continuing to do the work until you hit whatever your definition of success is. And it's absolutely critical that's what you sort of talk about who is the entrepreneur. And I think, again, anybody can be, but it is that the ability that you need is that ability to keep going. And so if you look at your life in general and you're that person who doesn't finish things or whatever, you might think, well, if I finally get into my business, then I'll, that's the one thing I will finish. Okay, great. That's awesome. We're cheering you on. But remember that then that has to be the one that you're going to actually put that effort into, because that's what makes all the difference. And I think you'll see if you I love to read, I read, about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship all the time. If you look at the stories, the biographies, the autobiographies, it's just a consistent theme all the way through with just, any big name entrepreneur you can think of.
I'll say this to add on to your schedule thing. I know a lot of entrepreneurs, they waste time. That's the big thing, right? Like everything's a waste of time. Everything's a waste of time. And I know me, I really started to do quite well when I sat down in my Outlook calendar and I scheduled out, okay, this block of time is for sales. This block of time is for marketing. This block of time is for learning. Like I still have it on my schedule. Every single hour, the last 10 minutes of the hour is me going online and learning something, whether it's how to do a new graphic in Photoshop or how to implement a new app that's in Microsoft 365, whatever the case may be. It's just anything. Even if it's just a YouTube video that you can put into practice that week and work on it. I still do that every hour of every day. That's also why I've learned 300 software platforms.
Serial learner right there.
I mean, but I think that's the big thing. And see, like they can do their marketing that way. I know me, I don't do a lot of outreach marketing other than I do a lot of DMs on LinkedIn. That's pretty much how I do my sales / marketing. That's just the way I've always been, because the projects I work on, that's the way I get my audience. But you can tweet, you can set up 5 minutes of every hour to be on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or whatever and posting stuff. It's too easy once you get on that schedule, like you said, and you're getting to that point where you're not wasting time, because you can spend half a day messing around trying to figure out your letterhead or your logo or your slogan and mission statement and all that. And the next thing you know, 30 days later, you're out a month's worth of bills.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a good point in this. You need to track your time. Just the same way when you do money management, and one of the things people talk about is, okay, track every penny that you're spending. Well, track every minute that you're spending. Take a week to, if you lose a month, like you were saying, just sit down and figure out. If you can't figure out where you spent your time, then there's a big clue for you that it's time to really look at that, and you'll realize pretty quickly, where time is going to places that you didn't expect it to be going to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. I think that's an important thing for entrepreneurs, because it's so hard to get started when you're trying to part-time it. An hour a day worth of work's not going to cut it.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to do.
Hour a day to $1 million. That's the next course there, Nate. I think you're creating
I'm totally doing that one. I'll proceed to the Entrepreneur Fund.
All right, so we have a couple of comments. We have a compliment from Chikwianim Omendagor. Salute to these two spectacular podcasters, Tisha and Nate. Keep winning. Hey, Nate, look at that. We have our own hashtag.
Oh,
that's awesome.
It's like a morning show in here.
Yeah, I know. Hey, that was one of my visions, like Good Morning Tisha, Good Morning America kind of deal.
There you
That's
go.
Awesome. Terry Kane, Nicholas Kurd saying 100 a day is great. That's awesome. I'm guessing that's in relation to the course and so forth. Terry Kane, I used to tell my sales team everyone must plant water and harvest. I'm like, plant water?
I'm like,
Terry.
I haven't heard this. Okay.
I know, I'm just reading it and I was like, there's a comma in there somewhere. Plant, water, and harvest daily. You can't just try to harvest. Yes. I use that a lot. I use that whole thing a lot, especially when I'm talking about networking and building relationships. It's not so much about just get to it, and it's the whole what's in it for me. It's all planting, harvesting, nurturing, planting, nurturing, harvest, I should say. So thank you, Terry, for that comment as well. Absolutely. I think all three of us can agree to that.
Yeah. And one of the reasons that's so important is in online business, in all business, online, everybody's online. So you have the market there, the traffic's all there, but you have to get attention, and you might have a great product or a great service, but your distribution's not very good, or your message isn't that great, or your marketing. So that's why you have to keep going. That's why you're constantly doing this. People want to call it the hustle or whatever, but what you're trying to do is find that one message that resonates with people at the right moment. And that's why you have to just keep at it and change everything. It's just your headline, maybe it's that lead, maybe it's the image, and so on. And that's what it is. It's just a consistent thing. So it's not that you have your product or your service or something doesn't make any sense, or you might have people around you say, oh, you told you that wouldn't work or whatever. Whatever that thing, again, of course, whatever the opportunity was that you saw, there's a reason why you saw the opportunity. So now you just have to do the next step, which is getting the attention of the right people to what you've created. And that can take a lot of time. And that's what the work really ends up being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that constant test, split testing, changing it up, changing graphics, changing headlines, and so on.
Yeah.
And yes, thank you, Terry. I'll add commas next time. Yes. Commas really matter. I'm just saying. No, just kidding. We knew what you meant. But awesome. I know we have a couple minutes left, Nate.
Yeah. So, Case, this is our opportunity to allow you to selfishly and shamelessly plug what it is you're doing in life. Promote yourself a little bit. Tell them what you can do for them. If you got anything to offer them or anything, let's hear about it.
Yeah, so absolutely. Please come over to readyentrepreneur.com. So that's where I've got all sorts of information for you. You can join the community there. There are, there's the blogs. The podcast is the Ready Entrepreneur Podcast, and there's PDFs that you can download and so on. And I think there's a link also for my latest book is called Recast, which is the Aspiring Entrepreneur's Practical Guide to Getting Started with an Online Business. And it's the first 10 actions to take. And I've got a little summary guide. So there's a link for that. And I'll make sure that, put that somewhere where people can find it. And that will be those first 10 actions, the foundational part that I talked about, and then the creative part. And it's just a summary of how that process works.
Nice. Those are some great tips, great value, and some great resources for people who are getting ready to start an online business, who are venturing into entrepreneurship. Case is a great resource for you, so make sure you reach out through her website. Good. Thanks, Case, for being on with us today. No technical problems today, Nate. Look at that.
I know. Everything's all shiny and good looking.
Everything's all good. Everything's all good. Hey, sometimes we're doing all right for this Friday. Well, happy Friday, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to Casual Convo Friday. We're back next Friday with Ashley Bright, the Message Fixer, joining us live. And Case, so much fun having you here. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much. It was great to be on. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to all of our comments, our lives that were joining in with us. And then if you watch the replay, make sure you add those comments in so we can get back to you with any questions that you have. So thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.